Alright, so I'm kind of really getting sick and tired of a lot of people not understanding what the hell I'm talking about when I talk about things about the transmission. So this video is to give you guys an idea of what the fuck I'm talking about, and maybe, just maybe, you guys will actually clue into what I'm talking about. This is a spline-driven adapter shaft. Okay, this is what connects your drive shaft to your output shaft of your transmission. This right here is your shift linkage mechanism. Okay, this is the actuator arm that actually drives the shifting of the gears. Okay, so when you're sitting in your car and your hand is sitting like this, you know, rowing through the gears, okay, when you push forward to go into third gear, straight up and down, this shaft here gets pulled back, which I can't really do right now because I don't have a lot of leverage. But either way, this gets pulled back, okay? And when you shift into, say, sixth, you go over and back, which makes this push in, or tilt sideways this way, and then push forward. Okay? So that's how your linkage works. When Hyundai adjusted the shift linkage arm length, okay, what they were changing is the height that the ball, between the ball and the adapter, or the linkage pin, okay, attached to the auxiliary linkage arm, which goes in here, okay, and then that connects to this, okay. What they did is they changed the angle. By changing that one thing, they changed the angle at which force is applied on this. So force this way and force this way and this way and that way, okay. They don't change the actual shift, the distance, okay. What they do is they change the force is put on that bearing right there. Okay, that's what they're doing. And you can see that this bearing actually is a little bit smushed. So that bearing needs to be replaced. Okay. Alright. That is your vent. Okay. This is what, well, part of what rattles underneath your car. Okay. But it needs to be there because as the fluid heats up on the inside, and the transmission casing heats up, okay, a couple of degrees, but it still does, the volume of the air on the inside changes, okay, the density of that air changes. Now if you didn't vent that change, you didn't allow it to breathe, you'd have issues. Well, you'd probably just blow your seals all the time, okay. Continuing on, this is your shift housing, okay, or not your shift housing. That's the wrong word. Gear case, gear case housing, okay, and that is a bearing. And I don't know if I can get it to show, but you'll kind of see in there some little silvery shiny things. Those are little ball bearings. Those ball bearings ride right here. Right here. That's where they ride. Okay? When this moves up and down, that's what happens. Okay? Now, when I'm saying synchros, okay, a lot of people seem to be getting confused on this, and perfectly honest, I'm getting really tired and pissed off at people who don't have a fucking clue what the hell they're talking about, deciding to throw their 2 cents in when they don't even know how this fucking transmission works. Okay? Sorry for the anger, but I'm really sick and tired of it. You'll see here this little mechanism here. Okay? This is a gear selector. Okay? It holds onto this tiny little piece here. Just make sure that's okay. And as this shaft moves up and down, okay, you'll see that there are little pins in here that hold these two arms in place, okay? This moves, which moves this, okay? This goes up and down. When this goes up and down, you'll see that this little piece right here, this little brass piece right there, it moves, okay? And when it moves, let me just get it out of the way here. When it moves, it puts force on a synchronizer ring, okay? That gear, however, only goes down. It doesn't actually go up. So what it does is it pushes this ring down, and the transmission is spinning, okay? It's spinning, and it pushes force down, and it causes this ring to engage these teeth right here, okay? This is your synchro pack. This right here is your synchro pack. This is a synchro pack. This is what we're talking about. That's what's fucked. This is what's screwed up in all of our transmissions. Is all of these little packs, okay? And in these little packs, you kind of sort of see, not very well, there's a bunch of little teeth, okay? There's a bunch of little teeth in there. And as this ring moves up and down and force is applied to it, you'll see those teeth. They move, okay? Those teeth catch this gear, which drives the shaft, okay? When it comes down, you'll see here, there's a little brass ring in there, okay? That brass ring is all chewed up to shit, okay? You'll see these steel teeth here, okay? These steel teeth are going onto that brass ring as this is pushed down and engages the gear, okay? And you'll see that I've put it into a gear that I don't have the torque in my hand to move. But that's what's going on. That's moving up and down whenever you shift gears, okay? And as you can see, even with no movement on the transmission, it's still difficult to do. But this gives me an opportunity to show you these teeth, okay? These teeth here don't really do anything. They're called guide teeth, okay? They don't really do a whole hell of a lot. But what they do is they're a carrier assembly for the internal synchro mesh, which is in there. Now this is a cone synchro. All of our transmissions use a cone synchro, okay? On every gear you have a cone synchro. It's how many synchro rings you have per gear. You'll see here that there's another one. There's another one of these, okay? When it's in the middle, like this is, you're in neutral, okay? You have no gear engaged. And you'll see here, and this is what's pissing me off with a lot of people, is your gears do not move. Ever. They are always engaged, okay? It's the synchro's job to move those gears into effect by transferring the motion through this ring to the shaft that it's on. Okay, so this gear set is on this shaft. Okay, so it will go up and it will tell the energies to go through the input shaft and through the secondary gear mechanisms up into here. Okay, based on which gear you've selected. And when it goes up into here, okay, you've got to choose, do you want it to be in neutral, doing nothing, no gears are selected, or do you want it to go into gear, and this arm, which is controlled by this mechanism over here, okay, you can see that mechanism there, okay, sitting on a mount shaft, okay. When it pushes up on these gears, okay, that's when it goes into gear. I'd need to play with it a bit to get it to actually go into gear, but I can come back to this side and you will see that there are little brass teeth here. Okay, and you'll see that there's little brass teeth up here. If I push this down, you'll see that there's more teeth down in between. When this moves up, it pushes that internal cone, okay, into those teeth, and it tries to push it into gear. But like I said, I don't have the strength to do it, okay? But that's what's actually going on, is it's these mechanisms here, these little cones, okay, that are screwed. It is not your gears. This transmission has, I don't know, quite a bit, or not quite a bit, actually not all that much, kilometers on it. And it has really good gears, actually. The gears aren't polished. They show little to no signs of wear. And you can tell, when you look at the gears, and I spin this around, there's no chafing on the gear surfaces, okay? And what that means is that the gear is resting really nicely on the shaft, and the gear isn't spinning on the shaft, okay? That's one thing. The other thing is there's been no debris in here that's been getting in between. The gears, when they were set, because Hyundai, in all their wisdom, I won't get into that actually. Either way, the gears, because they don't move up and down on this shaft, okay? They're fixed on this shaft. They don't clink. They don't hit. So as long as the shaft is in place, the gears should be infinitely longevity. I mean, they'll eventually wear, but not for a very, very long time. Synchros, on the other hand, now have the double duty of engaging the gear as well as moving themselves. And the more cones, the smoother the gear change is, but unfortunately, there's more moving parts. And when Hyundai installs their synchro rings, they don't, and you can see that I'm kind of moving this one ring by itself, like I can lift that ring up. They don't clock them, okay? And what clocking means is that when the transmission is assembled, those teeth are not lined up to the other, to the teeth that they're supposed to grip into, okay? Hyundai just puts them in there. So the very first time, and this is where your issue arises, because it only takes once, only once does it need to happen, is the teeth will sit like that, okay? And when you go to put it in gear the very, very first time, you blunt the teeth when it tries to go in, and you shave the tips of the teeth off, and then eventually they go in. And then when they come out, when they go back into their resting place, they actually sit too far apart now because they're supposed to be clocked to slip into each other. Okay, so those teeth are now like that. Okay, and they have to come farther together to get in and then link in. And they're doing it with a much different surface than what they should be. So they're essentially broken the very first time you shift a gear. Now I haven't pulled this plate off because I actually need to take this plate off first, but which means all this comes off. But that's basically the transmission. That is how this thing works. Now, the 6-speed used on the V6 and the 2013s is the exact same. Okay. The only difference is see these gears? See how many teeth they have? It's the ratio of teeth. Okay. It's the ratio of the output on 3 gears. That's it. That's the only difference. Otherwise, they're identical transmissions with apparently a hair in them. The transmission doesn't have any gaskets. So you can kind of tell that this transmission was not designed to ever be taken apart because they use this very thin blue RTV kind of stuff. It's not RTV because otherwise it would have reacted to my cleaner. As a seal, and it just makes this tiny little bead along the inside and this surface on this side that I need to take a razor blade to get off because my cleaner won't do it. Now you have this little tray here, okay? And the transmission is supposed to be mounted like that, okay? So this is actually the top, remember that. This pours oil onto this shaft, okay? Which sprays the oil onto these synchros. This side, however, this top one right here, has nothing to feed it oil. Nothing. So, bully. It doesn't have anything to lubricate it, except that you filled the transmission up high enough for it to scavenge oil from the bottom. And that's the transmission. So that's the point of this video, is to show you guys exactly what's going on in here. You guys can see, you know, it turns, and you can see that there are some issues, like these guides. They're not spec'd the right size. They're not big enough. They're not tight. They're really loose in there. There's no retainers on these bars, so in actuality, if you actually got a significant enough of a bump, it could actually dislodge them. But there you go. There's the M6VR-series on the inside, a nice little video showing you guys what's going on. And how I'm going to fix it is we're going to make new synchros. That's how we're going to fix it. That is the official Snoopy fix. Is we're going to put new synchros in it, and we're going to fix these. We're going to fix these guides, these awesome little guides with no retainers whatsoever, which I didn't really understand. There should at least be a C-clip on them, but whatever. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, obviously post it up in the manual transmission development thread. Let me know what you think, and I might choose to ignore you or pay attention, depending on how dumb you are. And we will take it from there. We will continue the pursuit of manual transmission perfection. Quick final note and thought. I did make one slight mistake in my bold statement of the V6 and the 2.0T have the same transmission, because they don't. This housing right here is different. The M6VR-2 used on the V6s, this is where your starter hub is, okay? It's on the other side. It's over there. And it's a different bell housing pattern, okay? But the M6VR-2 used on the 2013s uses the same bell housing as the M6VR-1, which you can see right here. So, yeah, that was my boo-boo. But otherwise, the insides are all the same. Damn it. Alright. Should probably show you better description. When I was saying that there's no retainers on these, then there should be. This piece just floats in here. Yep, that's what it does, is it's got so much play that even in its engaged position where it's supposed to be, you can still move it around quite a bit. So that's some of the slop you feel in your transmission.